This is Michael Popok. Look how dark it is. Do you know where your legal AF is? Now we have to, not because I want to, because I have to talk about everything that's going on in Georgia. Georgia! No, not the song, the criminal prosecution of Donald Trump. In particular, we've got two big chunks of information that just came over the wire that we got to break down on Legal AF, the podcast. One of them, we talk about the voting issues with two judges in Atlanta area, both striking down the major new rules passed by the Trumper-controlled state election board in Georgia to try to steal the election away from Kamala Harris. Not so fast, said two judges of Fulton County. We'll break it all down and talk about that while we talk about Fani Willis, back from the dead, the prosecutor in Fulton County. She's not taking the dismissal of any aspect of her indictment lying down. She's filed a new appeal to try to reinstate major claims and crimes against Donald Trump, including based on that now infamous phone call, that he made to Brad Raffensperger, where he said, can I just find 11,000 votes and just win this election just between you and me? Otherwise, I'm going to criminally prosecute you. We break it all down on Legal AF. Take a listen.
Look, there's a few heroes in Georgia, and I would call them the judges. What's going on in Georgia? You've got this new thing. The state election board has been stacked by Trump supporters, essentially. And look, Trump is doing this insidious thing, trying to steal the election now at the local level, right? It's all about trying to steal it by court cases, by influencing how elections are conducted. And so Georgia, he has stacked this new thing called, I don't even know if it's a new thing, but the new thing is that there's new people from Trump, new MAGA people in the state election board. And the other new thing is they're making these last minute rule requirements for all the various people in Georgia that have that are tasked with conducting the elections, running the elections, getting the ballots counted, certifying the elections. I mean, to vote at a state level is a huge, huge undertaking that has all sorts of people involved, a lot of volunteers, some paid people, and there are people who are in charge of this, right? Whether whatever you want to call them in your jurisdiction, they could be superintendents, they could be election boards. There's all sorts of people who are in charge and tasked with doing this, because the United States Constitution says that the time, place, and manner of elections are held by the states. And so there's a state, it's legislated in the states, there's statutes that get passed, but then you've got this thing in Georgia, the State Board of Elections, that passed these rules that essentially tried to make it really hard for the states to certify, for Georgia to certify the election. And it's all the individual counties that have to go forward and certify that, yes, there was 2 votes in my little county, and I'm certifying that's how many they were, and here's who it was for, or there's 2 million votes in my bigger county, whatever it is, you have to certify the election by a certain day. Yet these rules, there's one in particular that was widely denounced by all of the people who are getting ready for the election that's 3 weeks away, that essentially said that all Georgia ballots have to be hand counted. And what happened is there have been these decisions by these judges, Judge McBurney in particular, our new favorite Georgia judge, who basically said that, look, no, I might even think that hand counting is the right thing, but it would create too much chaos doing it at the 11th hour right now. There's not enough time to train people how to do this. There's not enough time to hire people to hand count, because the number of people that we have here that we have hired, or that have volunteered, or that are in place to run these elections, nobody's trained on this. Nobody's prepared to do this. Nobody knows. We don't have enough people to do it, even if they did it 24/7. What happens if the number comes up different than what the computer says? Then what are you supposed to do? And so essentially what Judge McBurney ruled was that Georgia ballots are required to be you must certify, and they must be certified by a particular deadline. And no, you don't have to hand count, and invalidated that rule. And he basically said that the hand count rule is too much, too late, and blocked its enforcement for now. He said, look, we'll consider the merits of the case for the next election. And maybe this is a good idea, but we can't do it right now. It's too soon. And he also ruled that that no election superintendent or member of the Board of Elections and Registration may refuse to certify or abstain from certifying. He said that, look, you're entitled to inspect documents, but you're not entitled to delay certification or abstain from certification, which I think is good. What worried me a little bit about it is look, what if one of these bad actors certifies the wrong person just because they want to? But he also noted that that if you do detect something, the place to what you're supposed to do, if you think there might be fraud, or if you think there's something amiss, then you refer it to the DA's office. That's what you do. You don't you refuse to certify or abstain from certifying. So he basically said that, look, we don't have the budget for this. We don't have the personnel for this. We don't have the training for this. And the administrative chaos that will ensue is inconsistent with our elections and what we do here. And he also said, look, that what we have to do is ensure that our elections are fair and legal and orderly. And those are words that he used. Yeah. And he hearkened back to January 6th, and he invoked the memory of the riot by basically saying, look, we see what chaos does. And so he wrote, quote, anything that adds uncertainty and disorder to the electoral process deserves the public. And that was my favorite line from what he worked. But
and we got another judge. Let me interrupt for 1 second. Another judge right next to him, Judge Cox, who just issued a final judgment in which he's declared unconstitutional and stricken all of these new changes by the state election board. This is his companion. This is reporting just coming out. Fulton County Superior Court Judge Thomas Cox issued his order just today after holding a hearing on the challenged rules. The hand ballot, the hand counting out. The rules related to reasonable inquiry and reasonable whatever related to the certification out. In fact, his order was quite succinct. Let me read to you from the order. It says, we have a page from it. It says, so this is a colleague of the judge handling a similar case with the state election board. The state and the state election board are hereby directed to immediately remove these rules, the ones we've been talking about here, from their roles and official reporting, and to immediately, and it's all in caps in black letters, inform all state and local election officials that these rules are void and are not to be followed through the same mechanisms that the state election board provided such rules to the state or local election officials, or through the same mechanisms that they inform the state or local election officials of these rules pursuant to the foregoing. This is the final judgment of this court, and the matter is closed, subject to appeal. So the good news is at least two different trial judges, right, Karen, have decided that they are not going to allow the rules to get changed in September and apply to halfway through early voting and then 3 weeks before the election. Now it's up to a court of appeals in the Fulton County, Atlanta area, and then ultimately the Georgia Supreme Court. If they find it interesting, they'll move expeditiously to try to decide whether, my gut is, even Georgia Supreme Court is not going to allow this rule change for this particular election under various doctrines that I think apply here. We're just too close to have, rules change with untrained, or as McBurney said in his order, he said, I don't want anybody touching the sacred paper ballot, which are like the votes, and before they end up getting into the lockbox for final counting. And adding more hands to this process does not make it more secure. It makes it less secure. And I thought they were worried about it. I thought that was the whole thing. They attacked Fani Willis and Shay Moss about, the counting, and they were putting votes in instead of out when they were running the video backwards. I thought they don't like human handling of ballots. So why are they injecting more human handling of ballots? Because they want to delay things to implement the strategy that you and I just talked about. Georgia, you want to do Fani Willis? What she's doing?
I mean, she's just if you remember, Judge McAfee dismissed some of the charges against Trump and his co-defendants, and she's basically fighting back and saying, no, you need to, she wants the Court of Appeals to reinstate them. And, I think basically what McAfee said was some of the charges that had not given the defense enough specificity about the charges to adequately defend themselves, kind of like what we were talking about before about in the DC case about the Fisher, the indictment. The indictment has to give certain specificity about the charges so that it gives notice to the defense. That's what Judge McAfee said here in this, 168 page indictment or whatever it was. I mean, this is like the world's largest indictment, but somehow there was not enough specificity. And so I think Judge McAfee actually might be wrong here when he dismissed some of the charges against Trump. And so she's appealing it. And look, if I were her, I would do that. I would do that too, because there's nothing else going on down there. No one is moving too fast here. So she might as well now take the time to fight for her case. So that's what she's doing.
Yeah, I think that you're right about that. There's a couple of them she's not fighting. I mean, Judge McAfee decided back in June or July, he had 2 dismissal orders, one in March and I think one in June. The one in March is the one that she's appealing now, the 6 counts that kind of go around the Raffensperger phone call, the 11,000 vote extortion phone call. But the good news is that the heart of the case, which is the RICO conspiracy, the Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organization Act, organized crime-like conspiracy that puts Donald Trump at the center of it as the head, is alive and well and kicking. I mean, Donald Trump's trying to dismiss it, and they're trying to get rid of Fani Willis still. So the hearing on whether Fani Willis is going to be the Fulton County DA to make the decisions about the case going forward is going to be held in December. And then the 2 counts that the couple of counts that she's not fighting apparently is that Judge McAfee said you as a state prosecutor don't have the right to go after what happened with the federal certificates, the fake certificates, as they wend their way into Congress and the Senate with Mike Pence. That's for federal prosecutors. And I mean, he said that knowing that, of course, Jack Smith has that as part of the DC election interference case, at least against Donald Trump in that case. So, yeah, we got to just keep an eye on Georgia. She's still, breaking bricks, breaking big rocks into little rocks, doing her job, cutting wood. She's going to get reelected. She won her primary. McAfee is on the ballot as well because it's an elected judiciary there. And he got appointed, and now he's standing for election. So this odd ballot in Georgia, at least in Fulton County, where you're going to see Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, and you're going to see Judge McAfee running, and then Fani Willis all on the same ballot. I want to get somebody that lives in Fulton County. I want to see a model or sample ballot. Please send it to me. I think I'd like to frame that. Welcome back. That was Legal AF, the podcast. It's about an hour long. And if you didn't know why we called it Legal AF, now you do. We do it on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Where? MeidasTouch and its YouTube channel. Free subscribe. Help them get to 4 million. And I got some great news. If you like Legal AF, you're going to love the new Legal AF YouTube channel. We call it Legal AF MTN for MeidasTouch Network. What else? We're spreading our wings, and they're just not on my sweater. They're also over there. We sit at the intersection of law and politics. I'm the chief curator for the channel. I'm giving you some great product, not just my hot takes, not just me at a new show called The Intersection with Michael Popok, but also we got a show called Unprecedented, where once a week we look at what else? The United States Supreme Court with Dina Dahl. We've got Court Accountability, who's with us on a regular basis. They are the leading investigative organization and group, pro-democracy group, about corruption and ethical scandals in the federal courts up to the United States Supreme Court. We got it all. We got Karen Friedman Agnifilo over there. We got mistrial clips. We've got all the Legal AF library, Legal AF MTN. Come over there and join us. So listen, until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF podcast or something over at Legal AF MTN, I'm Michael Popok, and I'm reporting. In collaboration with the MeidasTouch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.